author Sandra Wilson in the Kindness Kangaroo Library for another kangaroo tale. Kindness Kangaroo, what story are we sharing today? Today we're going to read the story of The Golden Eggs, written by me, Sandra Wilson. This is a reimagined classic, which means that I was inspired to write this story by an old story about a goose that laid a golden egg. Now, I found that story a little dark and a little negative, so I lightened it up a bit and made it have a positive ending for us to remember. So this is the story of The Golden Eggs, and if you check the description below, you'll find a link where you can pick up a copy of the book yourself, or any of my other reimagined classics. So here we go, The Golden Eggs. The farmer lived alone and worked hard every day. He only ate the food he could grow and the eggs his hen would lay. He didn't have much, but still would share. With the friends living in town, he always had something to give when any of them came around. Then one day his luck did change when he found a goose in the coop. The farmer was excited to try goose egg soup. But this goose was magical, as the farmer did behold when he went to gather eggs and found an egg made of gold. The soup was now forgotten as he held the egg of gold. He rushed down to the market and his goose egg was quickly sold. The money came in handy to give the house repair. He even hired a person to come and cut his hair. At first, he was quite careful with the things that he bought. He didn't want to spend too much in case it was all he got. But each day when he visited that goose inside his coop, he would find another golden egg, which he would quickly scoop. And soon he had more money than he ever thought he would need. But having all that money filled the man with greed. The farmer went from nothing to having enough and more, and he found that others that needed were always at his door. Everyone wanted something, but the farmer didn't want to share. He wanted to keep it all to himself, even though he had lots to spare. He was no longer thankful about finally having enough, and with each new golden egg, he just bought more stuff. He even got a security system and locked the goose up tight. He wanted to make sure no one stole him in the night. But despite all the security, the goose one day disappeared. And the farmer had no more golden eggs, something he had always feared. The farmer was now all alone, but it wasn't like before. No one now came to visit. There were no more knocks on his door. And all this stuff didn't make him happy when he just looked at it alone. He no longer felt important despite living in a great big home. When he had friends over to visit and what he made he could share, he felt that he was needed and he felt that people cared. So the farmer made a decision to sell all the things he had bought and share his wealth with his friends, learning the lesson the goose had taught. And that's the end. So the idea of this story is to kind of give a lesson that, when he didn't have a lot, he was quite happy to share with others and help others. But then all of a sudden he had so much, but then he didn't want to share anymore because he wanted to keep it all for himself. So it's kind of weird how that happens, but it does happen to people. And then he learned that it was gone again. And what he had done is all those friends he had made by sharing, he no longer had because of his greed. They all kind of turned away from him. And then it was better to have the friends than it was to have all the stuff. And so that was the lesson he learned, taught to him by the golden egg goose. So that's kind of a fun story that gives a lesson. And books are important for that too. It kind of reminds us sometimes about some behaviors that maybe aren't as good as other behaviors. And maybe we should try to practice sharing rather than being greedy more, which is kind of what the moral of the stories are about. If you act this way, you're going to lose your friends. And if you want to have friends and not be alone, maybe there's a different way you could behave. So they're just kind of little reminders of ways that, would work better if we tried. And sometimes we need those little reminders. So having these books to share those little reminders in a fun way is a wonderful reason to share the love of reading. So as I said before, in the description below, you can find a link to get a copy of the book yourself. You'll also find a link to the Kindness Kangaroo Literacy Project, where we're collecting book reviews from kids like you. Just send us a drawing of your favorite book. All the details will be on the webpage, and we're going to share those book reviews with others to help share the love of reading. So it's a win-win situation when we all get to share books. I hope you enjoyed today's story, The Golden Eggs, written by myself, Sandra Wilson, and I hope you join us in the Kindness Kangaroo Library for the next Kangaroo Tale.